Telling the Truth in the Dark, Part 2. It's a little bit later for this segment. It's 2 in the morning. What stayed with me wasn't the admission that I heard about telling the truth and not wanting to, but the second clause, because it causes problems. Since when would the truth cause a problem? And for whom? That's this morning's question. What sorts of problems? And so that leads me to ruminate about the role other people play in the life of someone who prefers to be dishonest. Because I would say that healthy people who are emotionally healthy, would probably argue that relationships between people are built in a perception of reality that they share. Healthy relationships are built on mutuality, and part of that mutuality should include how the world is seen. The psychologists throughout the ages would say, fundamental to compatibility is common worldview. Well, what is worldview? Do the two people see the world the same way? That suggests their perceptions align. If reality is perception, then the two people have to have shared common perceptions about fundamentals of life, hence a common worldview. Enter the dishonest party. How does the dishonest person, or the person who is afraid of the truth, because I think it's fear, particularly if the context of resistance is the problems that are caused by the truth. So if it's fear-based and there are problems, then how does that person forge relationship? And on what grounds? And what are the reasons why? Why have a relationship with any other living being if the truth is to be feared, resisted, and replaced by some fabrication? What if you yourself become part of a relationship with somebody who prefers to withhold the truth or sees it as problematic? What role do you play? And how does that influence the way you perceive the other person's role in your life? That's what brought me to part 2 of this series. Have I been playing a role that is part of a fabrication in the mind of the person who is afraid to be direct, open, and honest with me? I know I've been a sounding board. I know that's been part of the deal. I get to hear about everything that's not going well. But I've been doing that for a while, so I'm accustomed to it, and it's predicted that I will be a sounding board. But what about the supposedly healthy interactions that take place between myself and this other person? Is there any authenticity at play, ever? Or what I think is an authentic gesture of affection or care or interest, maybe it's all imagined. Maybe I have begun to fabricate what I think is going on, including my value. If my value is just a fabrication, if I'm being used for some purpose, then the role I play is pretensive. I've become something that I'm not. A role player in a scenario that is inauthentic. And the smile that I see on my own face as I can see myself in the screen here, because when we make these videos we can see ourselves, is one of irony. Because I'm not happy, I'm astonished. I'm flabbergasted at this realization that another person has that much power over my world to have created me and taught me the role that I henceforth have played. Which explains why I hit the wall periodically when my needs and what I would think is of value about myself is completely passed over. Why my communications and my attempts to communicate are completely ignored. My words, text messages, for example, aren't read, aren't absorbed, and aren't remembered. I'm talking to a wall. And I think I'm, feeding a relationship on a daily basis, but I'm not even being read. Because what I have to say doesn't fit the role that I've been designated to play. It's the wrong dialogue. The character that I'm playing isn't in the play. That explains why what I have to say isn't on the page. It's starting to fall into place. In a sense, I'm kind of in the spell of the creator of the role that I'm playing. Which is, I think, why when I'm alone here, on the occasion that I have several hours to be just here in my own domain, without the presence of the other person, the whole scene changes. It doesn't feel the same in my own home when I'm alone in it, as it does when I'm in the company of the person who has created the role that I'm playing. It takes me several hours to adjust. My father was quite a character, and had he been in the right place at the right time, probably would have had a life as a professional actor. He was wonderfully spontaneous, could sing and entertain, and the larger the crowd, the more comfortable he was in front of it. I kind of know how that feels. I'm not afraid of you. And I'm also not the least bit intimidated by the possibility that my audience could grow, even though it's very small at the moment. But anyway, Dad was a talented actor. Now, why did I say that? What was that about? Well, I guess I lost my train of thought. Somehow the connection between my father and his acting ability somehow was relevant at the moment that I mentioned him. Maybe in part 3 it'll all come to me. The revelation is astonishing, isn't it? I don't like to tell the truth because it causes problems. So every time I force the truth or become too confrontational, now I understand why the reaction is usually vehement, escalated, agitation, resistance, attempts at being coy fail, so anger ensues. I'm not allowed to jump out of character. I'm not allowed to be who I am in this play. Fear of the truth. The problems I create expose and destroy the fantasy that I somehow was a willing participant in a cover story, a facade, or something that closely approximates intimate relationship but doesn't quite make it through the veil. Maybe it's close to being possible. Maybe it'll happen. It's a very tenuous moment. But it's also very, very fragile inherently. We wonder too, what will happen to President Trump when he faces who he really is? Thankfully, I don't have a relationship with him. Fake, fabricated, or otherwise. I think tonight we can all be thankful for that.